Of course, we do have one that really doesn't have a primary and then secondary fulfillment. It doesn't have a lesser fulfillment and then a greater fulfillment. And that is the text that the intertestamental Jews were well aware of and saw as an unfulfilled messianic text, Micah 5:2. And when the wise men come and Herod inquires, where will the king of the Jews be born? This is immediately where they go. So that's really clear evidence in the middle of the first century that the Jews understood this text in that particular fashion. But as for you, Bethlehem Ephrathah, New American Standard goes, too little to be among the clans of Judah. From you one will go forth for me to be ruler in Israel. His goings forth are from long ago, from the days of eternity. If I recall correctly, the ESV has a different reading there. No, but you, O Bethlehem Ephrathah, who are too little to be among the clans of Judah. What was I reading recently that had... It had the translation was not least amongst the clans of Judah, something along those lines is what I recall it saying. I thought it might have been ESV, but yeah. See, the NET has seemingly insignificant among the clans of Judah. Yeah, so it's an interesting Hebrew phrase there. But the point is, they pointed to Bethlehem, and this is the reason that the wise men go there, and then you have the dream, and you have the murder of the little children, and the flight of the Holy Family, and all the rest of that stuff going on within that context of Micah 5:2. But as for you, Bethlehem Ephrathah, to little me among clans of Judah, from you one will go forth for me to be ruler in Israel, his goings forth from long ago, from the days of eternity. You know, some people get upset with me, and I upset all sorts of people. I may need another glass of water before I get done here. It is just ridiculous. I am really struggling. Why would people get upset with me? Well, there's a lot of reasons. It's just the older I get, the more reasons people seem to find. But one of the things is that I make you have to do a little bit more work. In other words, used to just be able to quote some verses, and then that James White fella came along and he said, well, you need to remember that the context of this is this, the context of that is that, and be prepared for that, and until that prepares you for a witnessing situation, and then I hear from those folks going, man, I'm glad you told me about that. So here's another, maybe one of your favorite verses. And you may not like to be told how people abuse it or interpret it in a different way, but I'm just trying to help out. Honest, I really am. Because the Jehovah's Witnesses understand this term right here. So, goings forth, activities, origination. See, the New World Translation, and you know what? I've got to order the new NWT. It's been years, and I need to order that, especially because for some reason the electronic version on my phone keeps crashing. But let me grab this down here. Oh, great. I just realized this is the eye strain version. The they're I guess they're silver now. I need to get that. Excuse me, everybody, just remember in Star Trek Wrath of Khan? when Kirk has to get the thing out to read the stuff for Reliance computer code. Anyways, I'm letting far too many people know that I am a complete, utter geek about that stuff. Let me get. Here we go. There it is. That's what I thought. The New World Translation of Jehovah's Witnesses says, "And you, O Bethlehem Ephrathah, the one too little to get to be among the thousands of Judah, from you there will come out to me the one who is to become ruler in Israel, whose origin is from early times, from the days of time indefinite." And so a Jehovah's Witness, man, what year did I get this? I didn't write it in there. That's a shame. This is the 84 revision, so yeah, I need to. I wonder if you can just get those off of jw.org. jw.amazon.com. That's where you get the nice version. I wonder if anyone's ever sent Jeffrey Rice a New World Translation to be rebound. Don't give people ideas. Remember when I met with that Jehovah's Witness guy? Remember, I've told the story many times before where DL took me to meet with this. It was with an employee of his, but his employee brought this elder along, and he was the guy that slipped me a handwritten note of Greek to test if I could read it. No, it wasn't upside down. He just miswritten one letter, but he had been carrying it around in his New World Translation. And so when I said, yes, I can read that, he says, really? And so he opens up his New World Translation. He gets out this yellow piece of paper. I think it was yellow naturally, but opens it up and slides it over to me and says, what does that say? Now, it is hard to read a fragment when you don't know what a context is or anything else. But thankfully, he had taken it from the New Testament. And I said, well, you miswrote that letter right there, but it says, let no one deceive you with empty words. And he looked like he had seen a ghost. He said, I've been carrying this thing for more than 20 years. No one's ever been able to read it. You're the first person who was ever able to read that correctly. Well, once I introduced myself to him, found out he knew who I was. And he's a Jehovah's Witness that wishes he could do in apologetics for Jehovah's Witnesses what I do. And we ended up having a very, very interesting encounter and conversation. And so I just wonder if somebody like that would, want to have a really, really, really nice, the only New World Translation like it, can you imagine? So I don't think Jeffrey would do it. I think he'd do it for me because he'd know how I would use it, but I doubt he'd, I don't know. I don't know. Remember, I think, I'm 99% certain I think this was done by our Jehovah's Witness friend. Because back when I was first learning the languages, this is actually two different volumes that have been bound together. Biblia Hebraicus Stucartensia, and I was partnering with heretics. Well, but we were doing it to open up doors of witness to this guy. And he also did a really very, very good job. This was in the 1980s. A couple of my initial Greek New Testaments were actually done by a Jehovah's Witness. So there you go. Anyways, what were we talking about? So Moses was in the bulrushes, and the point is that the New World Translation has the term origin. And so a Jehovah's Witness will go to Micah 5:2 and will say, see, he began This is his origins are from long ago. But from their perspective, Jesus is Michael the Archangel. See, he's the first and greatest of God's creations. The only thing that God created directly is Michael the Archangel, who becomes Jesus. So it's through Michael the Archangel that everything else is created. So they will use Micah 5:2. Now, there's nothing in that specific Hebrew word that demands the idea of origination or creation. But there are a number of Old Testament texts that Jehovah's Witnesses especially will utilize, Unitarians as a whole, who aren't Jehovah's Witnesses, will utilize to try to say that this is indicative of a point of origination. Micah 5:2 is one of them, so you need to be aware of that. And in the same way, the assertion being from days of long ago, from the days of eternity, going back into the eternal past. It's not really discussing anything other than the one who obviously isn't just a human leader, because these will not be words used of a prophet, a king, anybody like that. That's why I say this is one prophecy. It doesn't have an initial and then later fulfillment, a lesser fulfillment, greater fulfillment type theme involved. And the intertestamental Jews knew that. That's why when Herod says, where will the king be, the Jews be born? Bethlehem. Bethlehem. They brought him this specific prophecy. And they were exactly right in what they said there. So there you go.